President Trump just said the United States needs Greenland.
His advisors are discussing a range of options for acquiring Greenland.
Troops are in Greenland for a two-day training
President
mission.
Trump has repeatedly called for a U.S. takeover of the autonomous Danish.
We are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not.
What if I told you the most dangerous blind spot on the map isn't a dark alley or a war zone, but a massive island covered in ice? While the world argues about politics, a silent race is happening right above our heads. The superpower that controls Greenland doesn't just control the Arctic Ocean, they control the eyes of the entire northern hemisphere. This isn't just about ice, it's about who owns space. The White House is not interested in Greenland just for the real estate. They are interested because Greenland is a massive strategic asset. We aren't talking about fishing rights today. We are talking about satellites, space domain awareness, and why Greenland is the strategic blind spot Europe can no longer ignore. Satellites are not just floating around the equator. For military, spy, and communication satellites, the most valuable orbits are often polar orbits. These satellites spin over the north and south poles, allowing them to scan the entire Earth as it rotates underneath them. Greenland's geography is perfect for satellite ground stations. Think of a ground station as the USB cable that connects a satellite to the ground. You need a clear line of sight to download data. Because Greenland is so far north, it sits right underneath these polar orbits. It allows for frequent, reliable contact with satellites that other locations just can't provide. Is that a piece of space junk? Is it a commercial weather satellite? Or is it a hunter-killer satellite from a rival power maneuvering to take out your GPS? Greenland's location allows for unique tracking capabilities to monitor these threats. The geography allows for infrastructure that is increasingly vital as rivals develop counter space and cyber capabilities. If you lose your eyes in the Arctic, you go blind in the Atlantic. That is why this infrastructure is so crucial. It feeds directly into broader defense networks. For the US, early warning and missile tracking radar systems stationed in Greenland already feed directly into US homeland defense. The step from tracking missiles to tracking killer satellites is a logical and necessary evolution. The US Space Force has a space base there, Pituffik. It is located 750 miles north of the Arctic Circle. It is arguably the single most critical US military asset outside of the continental United States for nuclear defense and space operations. If an intercontinental ballistic missile were launched from Russia or Eurasia toward the United States, the shortest flight path goes directly over the North Pole and Greenland.
There are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland.
Pituffik hosts the upgraded early warning radar. It is the eyes of the US Homeland Defense Network. It would detect an incoming nuclear attack minutes before radars in Alaska or the continental US, giving decision makers crucial extra time to react. For decades, Europe has treated Greenland as a political sensitivity, a place to be careful about, rather than a strategic priority. Currently, Europe relies heavily on the Svalbard archipelago in Norway for its polar satellite downloads. But putting all your eggs in one basket is dangerous. European actors have started to invest in satellite communications infrastructure in Greenland specifically to reduce over-reliance on Norway's Svalbard island. If a conflict breaks out, or if interference, like jamming, targets Svalbard, Europe needs a backup plan. Greenland offers that backup. It helps harden resilience against interference. By spreading out their ground stations, they ensure that no single attack can cut off their communications. But these steps are too slow, too fragmented, and too cautious. The United States has already noticed this gap. In fact, they made a massive bureaucratic move that signals a huge shift in strategy. In June 2025, the Trump administration officially shifted Greenland from US European Command to US Northern Command.
We'll have to defend Greenland. If we don't do it, China or Russia will.
It means Washington no longer views Greenland primarily as a European issue. They view it as part of the homeland defense of North America. They view it as their backyard. Because the Arctic is heating up, literally and politically, Russia has built a formidable military posture there. China has declared itself a near-Arctic state and is positioning itself for long-term influence. Both Moscow and Beijing are cooperating on the Northern Sea route. Washington sees Greenland as the shield against these threats. It sits astride the GI-UK gap, Greenland Iceland UK. It is central to monitoring Russian and potentially Chinese submarines entering the Atlantic. If you combine the underwater threat with the space threat, you realize that losing access to Greenland means losing control of the North Atlantic. Space is no longer empty. It is crowded and contested. The same radar that watches for missiles also tracks objects in low Earth orbit. There are currently around 13,300 active satellites and 13,200 debris, including dead satellites. The radar monitors thousands of pieces of space debris and active satellites, ensuring US assets don't collide with junk or get approached by hostile killer satellites without warning. The data collected here feeds directly into the US space surveillance network, creating a real-time map of who is doing what above our heads. It has a 10,000-foot runway and the northernmost deepwater port in the world. This allows the US and NATO to project power into the Arctic Ocean, countering increased Russian and Chinese activity in the region. If Pituffik goes offline, the United States loses its primary ability to detect a nuclear first strike from across the Arctic, and loses frequent contact with its most valuable intelligence satellites. The race for the Arctic isn't coming, it's here. And the winner won't just control the ice, they'll control the data, the satellites, and the ultimate high ground of space.